Hello, friend. You signed a contract. I can almost guarantee it. Every time you click I agree on an app, every time you download something, every time you get a job, rent something, or make a big purchase, you've entered a contract. Most people sign contracts without actually understanding what makes them legal, what makes them void, or what happens when someone breaks one. Today, that changes. Contract law in 10 minutes. Let's go. I'm Mike Trawick, a lawyer, a teacher, and a veteran of the United States Navy, and this is Law School for Teens. As always, this is not legal advice. It is for educational purposes only. What is a contract? A contract is a legally enforceable agreement between two or more parties. The key word is enforceable. Not every agreement is a contract. I can agree to meet you for lunch and then not show up. That's rude, but it's not a contract breach. For an agreement to rise to the level of a legal contract, it needs specific elements. There are 5 essential elements. All 5 have to be present for a contract to be valid. Here are the 5 elements. Element 1, offer. One party makes a clear proposal to another. I will sell you this car for $5,000. The offer has to be specific enough that the other party knows exactly what's being proposed. Element 2, acceptance. The other party agrees to the exact terms of the offer. This is called a mirror image. The acceptance has to match the offer. If I offer to sell you a car for $5,000 and you say, I'll take it for $4,500, that's not acceptance. It's a counteroffer. Now the offer has flipped. I'm the one deciding whether to accept. Element 3 is consideration. This is the one that surprises most people. Consideration is what each party gives in exchange for what the other provides. In most contracts, consideration on one side is money, and consideration on the other side is goods or services. Here's the critical rule. Consideration has to flow in both directions. If I promise to give you my car for free, no payment, no service, nothing, there's no consideration from your side. That's a gift, not a contract, and it's generally not enforceable. The consideration doesn't have to be equal. A terrible deal is still a contract. If I sell you a $50,000 car for $1, that's likely still a valid contract. Courts generally don't like to evaluate whether a deal is fair, only whether consideration exists. Element 4 is capacity. Both parties must have the legal ability to enter into a contract. This is directly relevant to you as a teenager. Minors, generally anyone under the age of 18, lack full contractual capacity. In most states, contracts with minors are voidable, meaning the minor can choose to cancel the contract, but the adult cannot. There are exceptions, particularly for contracts for necessities like food, shelter, and medical care, but for the most part, they are voidable. The last element, element 5, is legality. The purpose of the contract has to be legal. A contract to do something illegal is not enforceable. A contract to hire someone to commit a crime is void. Courts will not help either party enforce an illegal deal. So now that we have all 5 elements, what happens when a contract is broken? When one party fails to do what they promised in a contract, that's called a breach, and a breach of contract is one of the most common causes of civil lawsuits. There are different types of breaches. A material breach is a significant failure that goes to the heart of the contract. It defeats the purpose. A minor breach is a partial or technical failure that doesn't destroy the whole deal. If a breach occurs, the injured party can typically seek remedies. The most common remedy is compensatory damages, money to put the injured party in a position they would have been if the contract had been performed. Sometimes parties agree ahead of time on damages in the event of a breach. That's called a liquidated damages clause. In rare cases, courts can order specific performance, requiring the breaching party to actually do what they promised. This typically applies to unique items or real estate where money damages aren't a sufficient substitute. There are also defenses to a contract. So what if you're being sued for breach of contract, but you have a reason why the contract shouldn't be enforced? Those are called defenses. So some common defenses include mutual mistake. Both parties were wrong about a fundamental fact that formed the basis of the deal. Fraud. One party lied about something material to get the other party to sign. Duress. You were forced to sign under threat. Undue influence. Someone in a position of power over you pressured you into signing. And the defense most relevant to teenagers, lack of capacity, as I mentioned earlier. If you're a minor and you enter into a contract, you can generally void it. The adult cannot use that argument. Only the minor can. The idea is that the adult makes a conscious and deliberate choice to enter into a contract with a minor, while a minor cannot make the same type of choice because they don't have the capacity to do so under the law, because they're under the age of 18. Terms of service, the contracts you're already signing. Here's where this gets real. Every major app, platform, and service has a terms of service. You can usually find the terms of service down at the bottom of most websites, along with a privacy policy if that website collects information. You can go check out mine at lawschoolforteens.com if you're interested in learning more about these types of contracts. But to go back to the websites and apps, when you click I agree, you're entering into a contract. Most terms of service include clauses that are genuinely significant, like arbitration clauses, agreeing to resolve disputes through a private arbiter rather than a court, which can limit your rights. Data sharing agreements, agreeing to let the platform use your data in specific ways. Limitation of liability clauses. The company limits how much you can sue them for. Most people click through without reading. That's understandable. Terms of services are deliberately long and complex. But understanding that you're entering a contract and that some of those terms have real consequences is the first step. If you want to dig deep into contracts, including a lot of tricky scenarios where the elements are ambiguous and reasonable people disagree about whether a valid contract exists, we cover all of that in our contract law class on Law School for Teens. Link is in the description. Now here, drop a comment. What's a terms of service clause you think most people would be surprised to know that they agree to? I want to know. This is Mike Trawick from Law School for Teens signing out. See you next week.